In today's video, we travel way back to the year 1990 and play Games Workshop's Chivalry, card-based rules for single combat between knightly knights. Hello folks, and welcome to the channel. I'm Lee, I'm your Oldhammer host. Lynn, your other host, will be joining us a bit later when we get to the gameplay portion of today's video. So today we're going to be looking at Chivalry, card-moderated combat rules for battling knights, created by Dave Andrews, Nigel Stillman, and the renowned Perry brothers, Alan and Mike Perry. This is a mini-game that was published in White Dwarf magazine number 130, way back in 1990. While these card-based rules for single combat can certainly be played on their own, they were actually intended to be part of a much larger set of rules, also called Chivalry, set in the late medieval period. As the White Dwarf article's lead paragraph explains, quote, "As some of you may know, we've been working hard on a new Warhammer game called Chivalry. This is quite a departure for us because, rather than being set in our own game universe of the Warhammer world, it takes place in the wholly historical setting of the 14th century, complete with knights, retainers, peasants, and all the bloody trappings of medieval warfare," unquote. Probably not coincidentally, the back cover of White Dwarf 130 features a host of iconic Bretonian minis by Michael and Alan Perry, which no doubt would have been perfect for the full Chivalry game had it been completed. Unfortunately, however, the dream that was Chivalry never materialized, though some evidence of it still remains. The hobby blog Realm of Chaos 80s posted an intriguing article on Chivalry back in August of 2017, filled with obscure tidbits and recollections from some GW notables, as well as photos of unpublished Chivalry manuscripts and illustrations. I will leave a link to that post in the video description below, in case you're interested. From what I gather, Chivalry was an ambitious wargaming rule set with RPG elements that would have covered raids, jousting, large battles, and campaigns, all set in the early 1300s. The card-based one-on-one combat system we're looking at today, however, would have been just a very small piece of that overall game. The idea apparently was that when knights met in single combat, they would resolve their differences using the card system rather than dice rolling, which I suppose does add elements of skill and craftiness. All other fighting, however, would use the regular Warhammer hand-to-hand combat rules. Okay, so how do you play the Chivalry single combat game as featured in White Dwarf 130? Well, to begin, each knight has a combat value, which is usually 6. Combat value designates how many hit points your knight has, as well as how many combat cards, representing attack and defense maneuvers, you can have in your hand. If your knight takes damage during combat, his combat value is reduced, along with the number of cards you can hold. Players begin the game by randomly drawing a hand of cards, comprised of any combination from the attack and the defense decks. Then players both roll a die to determine which of them will be the attacker. The Chivalry article includes 40 attack cards and 40 defense cards. The attack cards represent maneuvers such as stab, slash, lunge, and hack, and usually target one region of an opponent's body, but sometimes more than that. Most attack cards have a numerical value, indicating the amount of damage they inflict if the attack is successful. Cleave cards are an exception, however, as an unblocked cleave attack will immediately dispatch an adversary. After the attacking knight plays an attack card, either from his hand or drawn randomly from the attack deck, the defending knight may attempt to counter it by playing a defense card from his own hand, if he's able, or by drawing randomly from the defense stack. If the defense card blocks the area under attack, then no damage is inflicted and the exchange ends, after which both players draw replacement cards if the number of cards they have in their hand is lower than their current combat value. Some defense cards, however, such as counterattack and distract, flip the tables on the exchange, so if the defender successfully blocks the attack, then he becomes the attacker and the attacker becomes the defender. The bash attack card, if used successfully, knocks an opponent to the ground, making him unable to play any cards from his combat hand. Instead, he has to draw random defense cards from the stack to ward off any attacks. Once he plays a successful counterattack card, however, he leaps to his feet and becomes the attacker. Beware, however, if you play the bash card and your opponent counters with a dodge or leap back card, you become overbalanced and fall to the ground yourself. These furious exchanges continue until one knight is reduced to 0 combat value, breaks away and runs during his attack phase or after playing a leap back or dodge card, or suffers a horrific injury due to a cleave attack. All right, well, let's see how this all works. So Lynn and I are going to play a sample game of Chivalry here using the White Dwarf rules from 1990. And we have Bedivere the blue and Johan the red, and they have a squabble, so they're out here by the ruins, and they're going to have a little duel. It doesn't have to be a duel to the death. One or the other could choose to break away during a certain point in the battle, or even if one person is incapacitated, they might just be kind of knocked out, winded, or otherwise out of the fight. But there are a couple of cards like Cleave, which seem to take someone's head off, so that might be permanent.
That might be a problem.
So each of our fighters today have a strength of 6. That could vary depending on the proficiency of your fighter, but both of our guys have 6. So that represents both their hit points and the number of combat cards that they can draw. So we're both starting with 6 cards. I think I have 3 attack cards and 3 defense cards.
As do I.
As do you. And we're going to roll a die to determine who is the attacker. So Johan the red is the attacker, and Bedivere the blue is going to be defending. And hopefully he can do a counterattack or some other kind of counter move to put him on the attack at some point, so he's not just defending. Okay, so pick a combat card, an attack card, and we'll go from there. Okay, you've chosen Slash, so you're attacking his leg there. And I'm going to counter that with a parry right. So Slash affects that leg there, and parry right defends the leg, the sword arm, and the head, so that's enough to block it. So that's how that works. So that's the end of the exchange, and since we're both down to 5 cards from our current maximum of 6, we can each draw a card from either the attack pile or the defense pile, then we go to the next exchange. So even though Bedivere blocked that attack, it wasn't a counter move, so he's still on the defense. So Johan the red is attacking once more.
He's going to cleave your sword arm.
Cleave is a fatal attack if I'm unable to counter it, so let's see. Okay, since I don't have any defense card in my hand that's going to counter that cleave, I have to draw a random card from the top of the defense deck and hope it's going to protect Bedivere's sword arm. And no, so this parry right here protects my shield arm and my leg, but not my sword arm, and cleave immediately takes you out of action. So Johan the red has cleaved the arm of Bedivere the blue in just a couple of exchanges, and so that was a very short combat. So we'll assume that Bedivere the blue crawled back to his outpost and summoned up the priest with some leeches and got his arm reattached, and so he's going to fight again because that was really short. So
set up again.
Let's set up again. Let's get some new cards. Okay, it's a new day and a new fight, and we're going to start by each drawing a total of 6 cards to fight with, since both of our knights have a current combat value of 6, and those cards can be any combination of attack and defense cards. So we roll to see who's on the attack. And once again, the villainous Johan the red starts as the attacker, which means he plays an attack card.
Johan is going to slash.
He's going to slash.
Shield leg.
So Bedivere is wise to your tricks, so he's going to counterattack, which protects the shield leg and also makes him the attacker. So he has gained the upper hand.
Very good. We each get to draw a card.
It's the end of the exchange, so we both draw a card to get us both back up to 6. And Bedivere the blue is going to cleave. He's going to cleave your shield leg.
Look at those kittens!
And you play the distract card, so that is an automatic block. Good for you. And I think that makes you the attacker again.
It does. Johan the red sent out the kittens.
Sent out the fuzzy kittens as a distraction. Okay, that's the end of the exchange. We both draw a card to get back up to 6, since we both have a combat value of 6 at this point. And then Johan attacks.
Johan is going to try the shield leg again.
He's going to cut the shield leg. And fortunately, I have a counterattack, which blocks the shield leg and also gives me the upper hand. So Bedivere is on the attack. So we both draw another card to get back up to 6. I'm going to do a hack to the head, a 3-point hack.
I am going to parry high.
Parry high. Okay, we draw another card. Then Bedivere decides to unleash a 1-point stab, aiming below the belt.
Johan is going to parry.
He's going to parry. That's a full body parry. It's pretty good. Then Bedivere makes a sword thrust to the chest.
Johan is going to counterattack.
Counterattack, so Johan blocks it, becomes the attacker.
Johan is going to thrust.
Thrust to the groin, the old groin thrust. Fortunately, I can parry low. Got to protect the codpiece. And what's your attack?
Stab to the chest.
Stab to the chest. And Bedivere is going to counterattack. He can block that, become the attacker. So Bedivere is now the attacker. We draw cards. So we're both back up to 6. Bedivere is on the attack. He's going to lunge.
I'm going to parry right.
Okay. Draw a card. Then Bedivere is going to cut the sword arm.
Oh my. Johann is going to parry right.
All right, that protects his sword arm. This fight is going on and on. Okay, Bedivere is going to slash both the head and the leg. It's a double slash, I guess. So you need something that blocks both.
Parry right.
Parry right. Protects the head, the sword arm, and the sword leg.
This is much more of a furious battle.
It is. Bedivere is going to hack. He's going to hack the shield arm.
Counterattack.
All right, that protects the shield arm, and now
Johann
is the attacker.
Johann is going to cut the sword leg.
Cut the sword leg, you bastard. I guess I'll have to parry low.
Johann is going to slash the head and the shield leg.
Fortunately, I can counterattack while protecting the head and the shield leg.
Oh my.
So, Bedivere is now the attacker. I suppose when all else fails, stab the groin.
I will have to dodge.
If the defender dodges or leaps back, he blocks the enemy's attack but does not counter it. At this point, because you dodged, you kind of created a separation, so you could end combat right now and run away.
No way.
Okay, just letting you know that's an option. And my attack is going to be bash to the ground, so I try to knock Johann off his feet. So you don't have a defense card to counter that, so you got to draw one from the stack.
That doesn't work.
Counterattack, no, it doesn't cover everything, so you're bashed to the ground. So basically what that means, you have to forego using your stack of cards.
Do I lose 1 point?
Yes, you do. You take 1 point of damage, so you're down to 5. So now Johann is down to 5 hit points. The max number of cards he can have is 5, and he's on the ground. So he needs to do a successful counter by drawing random cards off of the defense stack, and if he does, then he's the attacker. He gets back to his feet and is on the offense. But for right now, he's on the ground and he's on the defense. Since Johann is down on the ground, he's going to get the boot. You drew a counterattack card, but unfortunately it doesn't protect the groin, so Johann takes another point of damage, and then we're going to hack. We're going to hack that leg for 3.
So, I dodge. So
Okay.
I still don't get to get up, right?
So you did dodge the attack, but you didn't counter it. You're rolling around on the ground. I'm going to get another card, and Bedivere is going to hack. It's a 3-point hack to the sword arm.
Yes.
Counterattack. That is exactly what Johann needed to protect his sword arm and jump to his feet. So Johann has rallied. He blocked the attack. Now he's on the offense, and he stood up. So things are all going Johann's way right now.
You bet. So now we're going to punch to the head.
A punch to the head. Well, I guess I will have to unleash the distracting kittens and distract, which makes me the attacker.
It does.
So Bedivere distracts Johann. He's now on the offense, and so he is going to slash the leg for 2. That's the shield leg.
Johann is going to counterattack.
Counterattack, so Johann is the attacker again.
Johann is going to punch to the head again.
Punch to the head.
Going to try to ring his bell.
Bedivere is going to parry high. This is going on and on and on.
Johann is going to slash to the sword leg.
Okay, that's a 2-point slash. I guess I'll have to parry low.
We're going to try cutting to the sword leg again.
Okay. Parry low.
We're going to try and bash you to the ground.
Bash to the ground. Let's see what I can do. I don't have anything in my hand right now that's going to block that, so I'll have to draw a defense card from the deck and hope it's a good one. And it doesn't help, so Bedivere is knocked to the ground. Bedivere takes a point of damage. He's down to 5 cards now, and Johann attacks again.
Cleave to the head. Johann is attempting to cleave Bedivere's head.
Right. And since Bedivere is on the ground, he can't use his defense cards right now. He has to draw from the stack. So whatever he gets, it better protect his head Otherwise, he's going to lose it. And he gets counterattack, but that's not enough to do it. So poor Bedivere loses his head at the hands of the evil Johann the Red. That villain. That evil villain. So I guess that's how you play the game. You knock your opponent down so they can't use their cards. And then you use a very specific and deadly attack on a small area. And they'll just have to draw a card from the stack and hope for a good defense. But in this case, I didn't get it. So Bedivere's head is rolling among the ruins. And the goat, this is Danger Goat, finds it all quite amusing. Okay, folks, that is our quick look at Chivalry. Card-moderated combat for battling knights from way back in 1990. And I guess this was supposed to be part of a larger Chivalry-based medieval-type game that never got created. So this is as far as they got. And poor Bedivere was twice cleaved, so maybe dueling isn't his forte. I will point out, though, that we had one very short game and one very long one. Your actual mileage may vary, but I think the average duel is going to be somewhere between the two. All right, that's a wrap on today's gruesome duel to the death. The moral here is, don't mess with Johann the Red. Thank you as always for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back shortly, but until then, take care of yourselves. Try to have some fun out there, and we'll see you next time.